7:40 and 8 a.m., her 25-year-old brother recalls seeing her being led into a wooded area by a man in a camouflage outfit.
A man in camouflage during hunting season is nothing unusual around here.
He just disappears in the woods right by her house, and the last person to see her is her brother.
He had reasons to believe that it was not an attacker.
He didn't recognize the guy, but he assumed it was her boyfriend.
We feel like the person is right here in the community, and we're asking for the community that if you know of anybody that just has changed their routine, please let us know.
We have to keep searching. We have to keep the momentum of getting people to know her, see her face. So if they recognize somebody and maybe see her out there, we can get her back.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome to our program tonight. I'm Deborah Norville from Inside Edition, sitting in this evening for Nancy Grace. The search continues for Holly Bobo, a beautiful nursing student kidnapped in broad daylight last Wednesday. Last seen being forced into the woods with that mystery man. For the latest on the case, we go to Nancy Grace producer Rupa Mikulaneni. She's at the scene of a candlelight vigil set to begin quite soon for Holly. Rupa, you've been down there all day. What is the latest tonight?
Right, Deborah, it's been raining all day, which has deterred some of the searching. However, volunteers still were out there today searching high and low, looking through ponds and lakes, water searches, ground searches, out there with dogs. Now, Deborah, what is interesting is the police, however, TBI, Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, has been leading this search. And they today, rather than searching, have been focused more on the investigative process. They told me today that they focus more on interviewing people, talking to witnesses, re-interviewing people they'd already spoken to before, and following up leads.
And the reason for that, Rupa, would be that with the passage of time, people have had a chance to sort their thoughts, and maybe something now occurs to them that hadn't seemed important at the time they may have first spoken with investigators.
Absolutely, that's right, Deborah. And you know, in addition to that, we also know that there have been items found in these searches, but we're not 100% confirmed as to whether these items are in fact related to Holly Bobo. For example, we heard reportedly that there was a bundle of papers, perhaps school papers, wet school papers found inside the wooded area, the search area. Now, we don't know if these are actually belonging to Holly Bobo. We also, of course, know about the blood. Today, new news, reports out there saying that, in fact, not only is it blood, but flecks of blood. So we have a better description of the type of blood spatter that was there found on the lawn of the Bobo home.
One of the things that we have to be careful about, Rupa, let me just stop you there on the flecks of blood. That was reported by OK Magazine. It has not been confirmed by the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. How reliable is that? Have we been able to get this confirmed from any other source?
Deborah, what we do know is the blood was found. The type of spatter, whether it's flecks or not confirmed by police, but police today confirmed that blood was found. It has been tested. The DNA results are back, and they are not releasing those results to us. So they are keeping this investigation very close to the chest, Deborah.
One of the things I know you did, despite the inclement weather, is you were actually out in the woods as well, and you were able to go with your camera crew into the area where it's believed Holly's lunchbox was found. Her mother apparently confirming that it was her lunchbox because the contents was the lunch that she had packed that morning. What is that area like?
Right, it's a rural road, farm country, cows, horses, heavily wooded. This is a tough terrain, which is why, you know, one has a great deal of sympathy for the searchers and the police that are working around the clock, Deborah. I mean, this is a heavily thicketed area. You have to, you know, in order to walk through, you really, I mean, you get scratched, you get bruised. You know, it's rough terrain. Now, this is a creek area where her lunch pail was reportedly found. And this creek area is about 8 miles from the home where she vanished from.
We're going to bring into our discussion Brad Dennis. Brad knows a great deal about searching in these kinds of areas because he's the director of search operations for the Class Kids Foundation, an organization that was founded after the disappearance of Polly Class many years ago. Talk to us a little bit about the challenges now, Brad, with the rain as they search. Anything that might have been left in a few hours from now, it'll be 1 week ago exactly, is going to be significantly degraded, will it not?
Absolutely, Deborah. It is going to be degraded. Just the introduction to all of this weather and the rain that has taken place in there, it's going to wash away footprints, ATV tracks, those types of things. It's going to make footing very difficult for the searchers out there. It is a really thick area in there, very thick canopy. And just that whole process of all of that added weather into this is just going to make this a very daunting task.
One of the things they've been doing is stopping cars on this roadblock. I want to bring Joe Gomez, who is a reporter with station KTRH Radio, who's been following this case closely as well. Joe, why stop cars now, almost a week after the disappearance?
Well, it's a good question, Deborah. They're stopping cars because they think that some people may, finally remember some things that they didn't think about at the time last week when Holly went missing. They're stopping cars kind of in the early morning hours, so when people are usually heading out at that time of day, the same time of day when Holly disappeared from her home, to see if they notice anything out of the ordinary. Maybe they notice a car on the side of the road, or maybe they notice some additional clue that they didn't register last week. So that's why right now they're making another attempt to kind of screen the area, knock on doors, check with people's cars, find out if there's anything, that new information that can trigger back into these folks' memory, Deborah.
Joe, on the subject of cars, was there ever any report of a car being seen at the time the 911 call was made by Clint Bobo, the brother of Holly?
That's an interesting point, Deborah. Now, there were no reports at the time of the 911 call that their car was seen, but a few days afterwards, police scanned traffic. There were reports that a car was found in the woods with camo in the car, gloves, a cell phone. Now, police have since said there is no direct link to that car that was found in the woods in the Holly case. It's not out of the ordinary for people to be out in the wilderness in camouflage in West Tennessee at this time of year, Deborah. After all, it is turkey hunting season.
We're going to go to the phones now. Julie is with us on the line. Julie, what's your question?
Hi, Deborah. My question is about the brother. They said that he saw his sister being dragged into the woods, and you had a friend of the family on last night's show.
Yep.
And she had said that he would do anything to help his sister. But if he saw his sister being dragged into the woods by somebody, then why didn't he help her?
That's a really good question, and I think the person to answer that is Paula Bloom, who was with us this evening. She's a clinical psychologist and can maybe give us some insights into what might have been going through Clint's mind at the time he saw this person. Paula, how would you respond to Julie?
Oh, wow. I can't imagine anything more stressful than seeing somebody you love going away. And I'm sure right now, 20/20 hindsight, he must not be feeling so good about it. Listen, there's a lot of ways that we can explain weird things. Maybe she had a boyfriend he knew about. Maybe he was altered in some way. So it's hard to know exactly what was going on, but I have to say, I can't imagine what he must be feeling like right now.
Is it not human nature, Paula, to default to the bright side that, it's no big deal?
That is such a good point. Listen, it depends on who you are. Some people have a tendency to be more optimistic in general, and some people tend to be more negative. If you're somebody who's not that worried about the world, you're not going to assume, I think that's a really good point, you're not going to assume that there's something nefarious going on. You may just think, okay, this is somebody she may know. But a lot of times, again, we don't realize something until it's in retrospect, until there's this bigger context of, wow, my sister's missing.
And certainly that's drawn the emotional support as well as the physical participation of so many people there in Decatur County. Rupa, give us a sense of what you've heard from the people that you've talked to today in terms of what they're going through, knowing that somewhere in their midst is someone who took this very pretty young lady from the carport of her own home.
Right, the community is really bonded together, Deborah. It's amazing. You see signs when you're driving up and down the roads here through Parsons, through neighboring communities, neighboring villages, neighboring towns. You see signs that say, praying for Holly, let's find Holly. It's amazing how they've come together. And everyone is involved. Everyone is trying to take time out to volunteer, to help in these searches. Even school children have requested that they get a few hours off from school in order to be able to volunteer. People want to get involved and they want to help.
And Brad Dennis, when they do get involved and want to help, is it a help or a hindrance to have this many novices out there combing the woods?
Well, it really depends. Obviously it's a help on a lot of terms, especially for the community, but they really do have to have some form of training. You're going into very thick woods. It's a very difficult process to search that. Honestly, what you really need is trained searchers that can maintain their grid spacing while they're sweeping through those really thick areas. So you find other ways to include these community volunteers. You put them in less thick areas, you put them out on the streets, you do a huge flyer distribution with them. There's still other opportunities for them to be able to go through this healing process of being able to help.
And what about the search itself? As Rupa showed today, she was at the spot where the lunchbox was believed to have been found. Is that a key point from which to radiate out the search as they look for clues?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that lunchbox and knowing that that is definitely hers gives investigators and search teams a critical piece of evidence. Someone was in that area. Now we need to go and start spiraling out from there and expanding our search from that area.
The wait is excruciating for the family of Holly Bobo. When we come back, we will talk with the family spokesperson and get an insight of what's going on inside the Bobo home. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
We have one eyewitness, and that's Holly's brother.
But he thought it was just Holly's boyfriend.
They are searching high and low.
It's all about trying to find her and get her home.